Hi, this is David Orlofsky, and welcome to another coronavirus version of the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Well, here we are, and I first want to address so many of you who have expressed concern for my well-being. This is not inclusive, but this is a sampling. Hoping all is well with you, Rissel Edelman. Aaron Pacht, why was there no show last week? Rabbi Summers from Los Angeles, dear Reb Dovid, how are you doing? I hope all is okay. Please let me know. You haven't done a podcast in a while, so I'm a little nervous. Razy Schwazmer, we hope you are well. You haven't posted any new podcasts. Wishing you and your family gesund. Dave Green, are you okay? Lenny Malik, I'm writing in because I haven't seen you post a podcast in a while. I hope everything is all right. Rabbi Orlofsky, this is Yehuda Zev Berlin from Melbourne, Australia. I really enjoy listening to your podcast. I hope you're well. I've noticed you haven't put on a show for a little while. Thanks very much. From Manchester, England, Aaron Chaim David, where are you? So there was newspapers reported the obituary of Mark Twain, and he wrote a letter in saying, reports of my death have been highly exaggerated. Yeah, it's true. I have fallen behind. And I'll tell you why. It's because you may not tell this. It may be hard for you to figure this out, but I really put an enormous amount of energy into these podcasts. At least I try to. And I've been pretty bummed out lately. I don't know about everybody else out there in Corona land, but this has been taking a psychological toll. Now, in absolute terms, I tell you the truth, my day is not that much different than it was before the coronavirus. The difference is now everybody else is stuck here too. I used to just stay here by myself. Now everybody's here. So, needless to say, with all the bad news and all the situation and all the uncertainty, if you have a pre-existing condition, you're much more likely to chas v'shalom die from this machla. And of the pre-existing conditions, the worst is obesity. So we've locked everybody in their houses and told them just to not exercise and eat. How could that be right? Anyway, so I've been having a little difficulty. So I finally decided, a little bit again, that I was going to do a really depressing podcast and maybe rant and rave a little bit about things that are bothering me. Until I got from Michael, our producer, the sponsorship for this week. It is sponsored by Rabbi Daniel Bauer and Shoshana Bauer Mendelson in honor of our father, To'um Shelley ben Eliakim, and his twin, Yaakov Aryeh ben Eliakim. They celebrate the English date of their birthday, April 24th. Mistama, they also have the same Hebrew birthday if they're twins, although, again, it was before Shkia and after Shkia. Anyway, it is also Leiloi Nishmas, our grandfather, Eliakim ben Moshe Aaron, whose 24th yahrzeit will be on the 7th day of Pesach. My father introduced us to your show, and my brother and I felt that sponsoring an episode would be a thoughtful way to express our love and gratitude to him on his 60th birthday. That's very special, 60th birthday. Yeah, I posted clips from my 60th birthday that, things do, but I didn't get a special podcast because, I do it myself. So, but this is the last line. Your podcast has brought us much joy, laughter, and Avos Yahadus to our lives. Joy, laughter, and Avos Yahadus. Well, I have to tell you, I haven't been feeling too much of that lately, but gosh, people are listening specifically for that, so how could I not do it? So I went and I found my happiest tie that I could find. I don't actually have one with little smiley faces on it and everything, but I looked for something bright and cheery, and I said, let's let's talk about some things that hopefully will be a little positive. Yeah, and reach down inside, and the energy that hopefully we all share together during this time will help us out. So it was Shabbos Chol Moed, Pesach. And I saw my wife was saying Baruch Nafshi and the Shir HaMalos, which she usually does every Shabbos. So I said, you don't say it, Chol Moed? She says, why not? Now, of course, there's no Isser. It says saying Tehillim. What could be the problem? Yeah. So I said, there's a minhag. The minhag is starting the Shabbos after Sukkot, we start saying Baruch Nafshi and the Shir HaMalos, right up until Shabbos HaGadol. Shabbos HaGadol, we have a Shabbos HaGadol drasha. And then on Shabbos Chol Moed, the minhag was that the Rav would give a drasha. And then starting on the Shabbos after Pesach, we start saying Pirkei Avos on Shabbos. And we do that all the way up until Rosh Hashanah. And then you come to Shabbos Shuvah, and on Shabbos Shuvah, the Rav would give a drasha. It used to be in Europe that the Rabbanim gave a drasha twice a year on Shabbos HaGadol and on Shabbos Shuvah. When we came to America, they asked the rabbis to give a drasha every week, and assimilation shot up to 70%. You make the cheshbon. And then Shabbos Chol Moed again, there was special drashas. And then after that, we went back to our regular cycle. Now, there's a reason for it, obviously. Everything has a reason. In the winter, people don't go outside. So there's not a lot of social interaction. And people have a tendency not to focus on the Bria, because you're locked inside, it's snowing, it's raining, whatever it is. So we say Baruch Nafshi to remind us of all the godless of the Bria. After Pesach, when it's warm and it's sunny and everybody goes outside, so now we don't have to remember the Bria, we're seeing the Bria, but we get surrounded by other people. So we learn Pirkei Avos to figure out how to properly interact with people. So I looked at my wife and I said, probably now you're right to keep saying Baruch Nafshi. Since we're not allowed out. Yeah. I had to throw out the garbage on Yontif. My wife said, I'll come with you. So we went to throw out the garbage. And while we were there already, we walked a little bit around the boat, came along the long way. And just to be outside, sun shining, fresh air, and people in buildings facing each other, davening on all their mirpasot. In America, they don't really have this. My brother is in West Hampstead. They don't have any of these minyanim at all. But here we line up all the mirpasot, and people are all over the place, and they all daven together, and they all daven together and apart. Yeah. So so you get to see the Bria, but otherwise we're locked inside of our houses, missing out. The Kinneret, the Sea of Galilee, for those of you out there who may not be familiar, is full. Hasn't been full in years. An unbelievable thing. Nobody can go. Nobody can go and see it and enjoy it. We're all locked away. So next podcast, I think I'll talk a little bit about Corona, because I spoke about it one time, and I want to give a different perspective this time. But in any event, I decided that since it is the minhag during this time to learn Pirkei Avos, we'll speak a little bit about Pirkei Avos. Now, Pirkei Avos is a Masechta of Mishnayos called Maseches Avos, which has only 5 prakim, 5 chapters. The 6th chapter is, in fact, a collection of brises called Perek Kinyane HaTorah. And that's put together so that we have 6 prakim, so that we can cover all the Shabbosim between Pesach and Shavuos. But we learn Pirkei Avos. And Pirkei Avos is a very strange Masechta for two reasons. For one thing, it's not halacha per se, as much as hanhaga, how to behave. And then it begins with the mesorah, which we don't have. The closest we have to this is a Mishnah in Chagiga, where we discuss the zugos. There's a machlokes whether you can do smicha, put your hands on an animal on Yantif. There's a machlokes between all the zugos, starting with Rabbi Yossi ben Yoez and Rabbi Yossi ben Yochanan, going all the way down to Hillel and Shammai, and it lists the zugos over there. But here, Pirkei Avos begins. Moshe kibel Torah misinai, u'masel Yoshua, Yoshua l'Zakanim, Zakanim le'Neviim, Neviim l'Anshe Knesset Gedola. And it tells us the whole mesorah. And as Moshe Shapiro pointed out, Perek Aleph continues the story of the mesorah. So we go through the zugos. I'm going to go to Hillel and his Talmud Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and his Talmidim Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua, and we go down all the way down till Rebbe, and then Rebbe's grandson Pashtus, and it goes all the way down. So we capture the mesorah. What is that doing in Maseches Avos? So I will answer it with a story, as I tend to. Someone gave me a recording once of a shiur given by somebody who's very well known. I won't mention his name because I'm not presenting this in the most positive light, that I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression that I would ever say anything negative. But he's somewhat well known, and he gave a shiur about Joe DiMaggio. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, Joe DiMaggio was a very famous baseball player. He later married Marilyn Monroe. He was a Yankee, and he was, he was a great baseball player. Anyway, he gave a whole shiur of all of the midos tovos that you can learn from Joe DiMaggio. And he starts off and he says the following. He says, can we in fact learn midos from a non-Jew? Yes, he says. And he quotes the Gemara in Kiddushin that all of us learned as children about David ben Messina, who they come from the Beis Hamikdash to buy a jewel from him to put in the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol. And he says, I can't sell it to you because it's in the safe. And the key to the safe is under my father's pillow, and he's sleeping, and I'm not going to wake him up. So, very nice. So he says, you see from this that you can learn, the fact that the Gemara brings the story is that you can learn midos from an non-Jew. So I heard a shiur from Moshe Shapiro, and that's not the way he presented it. He based himself on a Maharal. The Maharal explains that Rashi, it's a Goraye, Rashi on Chumash says that at Morah we were given 3 mitzvos to learn: Shabbos, Dinin, and Paradum. So ask the Maharal. The Gemara says we were given 4 mitzvos at Morah. The 4th one was Kibbud Avim. So he says, why did Rashi leave out Kibbud Avim? And the answer is that honoring your parents is a different type of a mitzvah. Why? So he says there's 3 ways to learn to appreciate the greatness of Torah. One is the breath. And Shabbos is got tremendous amount of halachas. You go to the Mishnah Berurah, you have 2 halakim dedicated to Shabbos. There's so many halachas that are covered when you talk about Shabbos. Tremendous. It's the breath of Torah. When a person wants to sit down to learn how to think, the Gemara itself says, you learn, Nezikin, Dinim, Babakavim, Babatzia, Bababasra, the Svar is learning into it, teaching you how to think, svaras, all the things that go into the logic of Torah, the depth of Torah, the brilliance of Torah. Parah Aduma is a mystery. It's Kabbalah. It's out of this world. There's something supernatural and esoteric about it. And Parah Aduma represents that area of learning. This is how the Maharal explains it. He says there's a fourth area of mitzvahs, and this mitzvah you wouldn't study because this is called a mitzvah tiv'i, a natural mitzvah. You know, it's an interesting thing. When you talk about a natural mitzvah, people say, well, mankind on their own can figure out don't kill and don't steal. Obviously not. Because here we are thousands of years later and we still haven't quite figured it out. There was a group of school children when Giuliani was mayor of New York, and they were visiting City Hall. So he used them as an audience to present a citation to a cab driver who found a large amount of cash in his cab and returned the money. And the school children were all calling out, yeah, you should have kept it. As somebody put it, it's not wrong to steal, it's wrong to get caught. But the fact that stealing is inherently wrong. Murder, that was entertainment in the Roman Empire. You used to go down and watch people getting killed. People don't mind watching death. You go to a bullfight. Why do you go to the bullfight? Because maybe the bull will win. Or as Tom Lehrer said it in his famous song, the crowd held its breath, hoping that death would brighten an otherwise dull afternoon. He will be performing on the high wire without a net. Why? Death-defying acts. Why? Put on a net. What if the guy falls? Exactly. I don't think there's anything wrong with watching someone kill themselves. Watching death. So it's not natural. He says there's one thing that's natural. That's kibbud avein. It's built into the essence, not just of a human being, but of the entire world. And that's why there's a mitzvah, chase away the mother bird before you take the children. Because the kibbud avein, the honoring the mother and the father, that's built into the creation. So he brings the story of Dovid ben Nesina to say, what the Gemara is teaching us is that you can learn kibbud avein from a non-Jew, honoring your parents. But where do you see that you can learn midos tovos? Says the Bar Tanura, that's the reason that Pirkei Avos starts with the mesorah. Because when you go through the rabbis who are going to be giving expressions of morality and ethics, this isn't their own personal opinion. This isn't pop psychology. This is Torah. Moshe Kibul Torah, Masa, and brought it down to us. And these people said, and he said, and he said, and he said, this is all part of the mesorah. It's not just what I think. There was a professor at a university in Canada. He wrote a book called Morality Without God. I never read the book. I saw the title. It's problematic. Because who's to say what's good? You're going to give me advice as what's good. It's just your opinion. They put up a statue in Soviet Russia for a little boy who turned his parents into the secret police. They put up a statue to him. He was a hero. He ratted on his parents. In Nazi Germany, if you hid Jews, you were a bad person. So there are people protesting in the streets in America. This person says, if you have an abortion, it's murder. And this person says, if you don't allow abortion, you're stripping people of their freedoms and rights. One of them is right, one of them is wrong. Either that's a human being or it's not a human being. There's no two ways about it. Euthanasia. Yeah. When you're in the hospital, they ask you to sign a DNR, do not resuscitate. They put a lot of pressure to, what do you want this person to suffer? What do you want him to go? I remember I was in America, my gallbladder became very, very enlarged. Surgeon said he had to take it out. I said, I can't. I'm in the middle of a speaking tour. He wasn't Jewish. He looked at me like I was out of my mind, but the gastro was a frum guy, and he said, yeah, no, don't worry about it. You can do it and then finish your tour. Told my brother, he's not going anywhere. Anyway, I'm in the hospital. They're going to take out my gallbladder. And they said, do you want to sign a do not resuscitate? And I said, no. Now, normally they're trained to get you to do this because they don't want to leave a bunch of people on life support, So they say, well, it could be very invasive. It could be this. I said, be as invasive as you can. I'm not going. Okay. So you struggle to keep somebody alive. I'll tell you better than that. You walk into a hospital room. 2 different people walk into 2 different hospital rooms. And there are people in terrible pain, and they both say, put me out of my misery, turn off the machine, put a pillow over my head, just kill me, I can't take the pain. One person says, I'm not going to do that, and walks out and thinks he's a good person. The other person says, okay, and he turns off the machine and lets the guy die. And he thinks he's a good person. So which one is a good person? So if you have a Kodesh Baruch Hu, and he is absolute truth with a capital T, and he says this is what's good with a capital G. So, okay. But I think, it's my opinion, mankind has notoriously been very bad at trying to figure out what morality is, and how to properly treat people. I give an example. I find out something terrible about you. Terrible. It will destroy your life. And I tell everybody about it. And sure enough, it destroys your life. What do we call that? So whenever I say this to a Jewish audience, they always say the same thing. Lashon hara. I said, no, we call that journalism. That's a wonderful thing. I destroyed somebody's life. I printed it. It's true. I can bring it. I can improve it. Should I have said it? Is it worthwhile? But that's the way society establishes values. But our values, when we look in Pirkei Avos, Moshe Kibel Torah Sinai and passes it down. And so when we read Pirkei Avos, this is not just some pithy aphorisms. These are absolute truths that represent things that are real, absolute values. Rav Hutner was giving a shir in Chaim Berlin, and a man walks in the middle of the shir. He says, "Are you Yitzchak Hutner?" He says, "Yes." And he holds up his arm. No, I'm not doing it right here. Holds up his arm. He's missing his hand. He says, "What's going on?" He says, "You were learning in Slobodka, and I was there. And this guy came back from Germany. And somebody asked him, so what did you think of Germany?" He says, "Oh, they're such nice people. They're very self-effacing. They're very humble. When you ask them a question, they don't just give you an answer. Like you say, how do I get to such and such a place?" And he says, "You take the 6 bus. Nicht wahr? Isn't it so? Nicht wahr? Look how nice they are." So one of the yeshiva guys there says, it's all surface. It's not real. Yeah? It doesn't represent anything real. And I said, you yeshiva guys, you can't give credit to anybody. You can't recognize that maybe an non-Jew had something good about them. Come on. Anyway, the war came and I ended up in a camp, and they caught me stealing a loaf of bread. They held me down as they slowly cut off my hand with a knife. And as they were cutting it off, the Nazi said, "It hurts, nicht wahr? Isn't it so?" And I said, if I live through this war, I'm going to find everybody who's there, who's still alive, and tell them that they were right and I was wrong. Who knows? Who knows what's right, what's wrong, values, how things change? And it's all based on the whims of the time. Is it true? Maybe. Maybe. You go to psychologists, they'll tell you you have to express how you feel. Can't keep it bottled up. Restraint is not healthy. It'll poison you. We always teach people to be in control. Don't raise your voice. When I was a kid, it was to tell kids, don't raise your voice. Don't fidget. Don't jump around. Learn control. It's a value. Not do whatever you want and feel how you want. The Lev Eliyahu was waiting for a bus that was very delayed, and he had to get to Hadassah for an operation on his eye. And he was sitting and learning, but it was very, very delayed. And everybody else is looking up the street. Where's the bus? Where's the bus? Where's the bus? And finally, he was really worried he's going to miss the whole operation, everything. He turns and he looks and he goes, the Alta of Kelm would have been so disappointed in me. So little self-control. To be able to learn how to control yourself. The Jewish press, when I was a kid, I think it was the only Jewish publication around, the Jewish press. They used to have Mishnah and Talmud comics. Anyway, whenever they brought a story of Hillel and Shammai, so Shammai always had a face like this. Yeah, he's like angry. Those of you who are doing Daf Yomi, you just did the story where these people come, and this guy says, "Teach me the Torah standing on one foot," and this one says, "Teach me the written Torah, not the oral Torah," and then Shammai chases them out. So he felt there was an Indian of covenant Torah, and that is one definite approach. Torah has to be respected. It requires respect. Yeah. So that's how they show. They always show Shammai like that. In Pirkei Avos, it's Shammai who says, "Mekabel kol adam b'sevel panim yafis." Greet everyone with a pleasant face. You're going to draw Shammai, it would be more like this. That's what he says. And the Bartanura says, whenever it says, "Hu haya omer," Rabbi Left points out, it says, "Shmuel katan." Yeah, what does he say? When your enemies fall, do not celebrate. He goes, that's a pasuk. That's a pasuk. He goes, oh, watch, I'll get into Pirkei Avos. Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'haaretz. So the Bartanura says, when it says Hu haya omer, it doesn't just mean that he said this. It means this is how he lived his life. This expression captured him. We just, the sponsorship is two brothers who are having their 60th birthday. So my friend, Rabbi Zev Rudman, I went to his 60th birthday. He made a siyum on all of Yerushalmi for his 60th birthday. Mine, I had a party and my kids wrote a rap. So it's similar idea. And they included a lot of my expressions that I say very often. And the chorus was, everybody does what everybody does because that's what everybody does. So it's not that I said it one time. It's something that I say all the time. When Shammai said, "Mekabel kol adam b'sevel panim yafis," greet everybody with a pleasant face, that represented who Shammai was in his essence. It wasn't something that he said once in a while. Why? Because that represents an absolute value. It's a chesed. It's not just a cute thing, smile once a day. A smile is like sunshine. You don't know. Bishua Salanta says your face is a Rishus Rabbim. The face that you make reflects. The Vilna Gaon used to keep a little notebook, and he wrote down every time that he wasted any time. Someone saw the notebook once at the end of the year. It was a little over an hour, and he wasted an entire year. So that's why the Talmidim was surprised when they walked in one day and saw him in front of the mirror going, they're like, Rebbe, what are you doing? He says, it says, Makabel called them a Seva part of the office. I'm trying to figure out what's the nicest face I can put on when I greet people. When people don't make the effort to greet people with a pleasant face because they're having a bad day, good morning. What's good about it? You want to look at a present situation and complain? Oh, look how terrible it is! Like how horrible it is. Smile. It cheers people up. Makes people feel good. It's a value. After the Egel, it says Moshe moved his tent outside of the camp, and Rashi says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, go back in. If you're going to be upset at them, and I'm going to be upset at them, then who's going to bring them close? You don't have to worry. When I put on a bad face, it doesn't reflect anything inside. You're a person. You can't put on that kind of face. But that's a value. That's an absolute value. That's a Moshe Kibbutz Torah Sinai value. Just like we know what kazai is, just like you know that the straps of the tefillin are black. So the things that we learn in Pirkei Avos, these aren't just cute ideas. They represent nitzchias, they represent eternity and absolute truth. So that's why as we go through these weeks, and perhaps in the podcast, we'll talk a little bit more about Pirkei Avos, you have to understand that everything that we're saying here is something that's real. If you ever read the Maharal's Parish, learned the Maharal's Parish on Pirkei Avos, the depth that's in every expression, what everything means. Nothing here is just cute. When you find something that sounds repetitive, and we said it before, you have to go back and figure out what the difference is between the two. These are Tanoim writing this. These are great people. So that's something I wanted to speak about. I wanted to speak about ethics and morality and Musa, and that it's Misinai. It's something that's real. And that's it for this week. If you want to find out more about the show, you go to my website, RabiOrlofsky.com, where you can do whatever it is that you do at a website. If you want to sponsor an episode, go to the sponsor episode button and sponsor that episode. If you want to make a comment. If you want to find out if I'm still around, by all means, you can contact me directly and find out if I'm still here. I didn't answer everybody who I just read out. I read all your names on the air because I wanted to make it clear that I'm still here. And that's it for this week. I'm Dovid Orlofsky, and this is the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.